So you've probably noticed how I am not on the normal rules of evidence page here. That's because I want to talk about the residual exception. And it doesn't exist in the American Mock Trial Association's rules of evidence. On Midlands, it doesn't exist. But it does exist in real life, and it properly underlies the purpose and understanding of hearsay, and it's why it's going to be important to know. You can kind of make logical arguments about the admissibility of hearsay statements, not citing any particular exception, and people might be able to lump it in, the judges being people in this instance, might be able to lump it in with this residual exception and allow it into evidence anyway. So just remember, this doesn't exist, but it underlies hearsay generally, and you can make arguments to it even in mock trial. In general, a hearsay statement is not excluded by the rule against hearsay, even if the statement is not specifically covered by a hearsay statement in 803 or 804, if the statement has equivalent circumstantial guarantees of trustworthiness, is relevant, is more probative, and admitting it will serve the best purposes of justice. Essentially, if there's other circumstantial reasons why this hearsay statement is trustworthy, then it kind of gets around the issues of hearsay in the first place. We have hearsay to keep out statements that are inherently unreliable. And if there are other circumstantial reasons that a certain statement is reliable that aren't previously thought up by the person who drafted the rules of evidence, then it's okay. Essentially, this is exceptions we haven't thought of. So if you can come up with reasonable explanations for why certain statements are trustworthy, even if there's no other exception that they currently fall into, then they could fall into the residual exception and be admissible anyway. So the way this would kind of happen is you would say, Your Honor, the purpose of hearsay is to keep out statements that are inherently unreliable, but this statement has circumstantial evidence of its reliability because of blah, 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 blah. And as such, it can be exempt and admitted into evidence regardless. I would avoid saying the words residual exception because you can get into AMTA violations about using a rule book that doesn't exist, things like that. But you can make arguments to that effect. So that's the residual exception. And that's the end of the hearsay exceptions for declarants that are available to testify, starting in Rule 803.